Hi there, so this is that space. So the URL is that virtual space, so you're able to go on there and have a look should you want to. The best way to explain what we do here is we create 3D websites. So the idea is instead of a traditional website you scroll through with images and text, this becomes a fully 3D environment you can walk through, explore and interact with. Now the sole focus of this for me currently is property. The technology I think is fantastic, but without it being applied to a niche or a problem, it doesn't serve a great deal of uses. So what we can see here is our website. Now if you want to log in and have a little go with the platform, simply all you have to do is go up to platform, scroll down to login. When you click login, you'll be asked to create an account, but it's completely free to do so. So I'll show you me logging in. So you can see here, once I've logged in, we will then be on the projects page. Now, a project page is set up for your organization. So say whether there's one of you or there's 100 of you, you can all share the same project and organization. Now, the reason for this is in essence that you have lots of different user groups to our platform, meaning you can either be the admin, the owner, or a viewer. Now, the main thing to talk about that is an admin or an owner can delete projects, create projects. An editor can create a project but can't delete one. And a viewer is very much like your estate agent or someone in real estate, where they would actually just be checking the information on the back end of the platform. Now I'll give you a little bit of a run through of everything on this platform, and hopefully, should you like to, you can have a jump on and play for free. Now there is somewhat of a freemium part of the platform. You're able to go on here, create projects and edit them. Should you then want to publish, that's when the licensing comes in appropriately, and I can show you all of that within this video. So you can see here I already have a project that's created called That Space Demo, and you can see that it's property sector and it's been published. Now if I click edit or settings, you can see we can change the titles, the name of the description, and also the icon that represents it, or as you can see, because I'm an owner, I could click delete. Now what I'll do is I'll run you through a lot of the little bits of the settings and the back end before I jump into an environment. So every single project creates its own analytics. Now this project was created earlier as a test, so obviously there's no real data to go into as an example. I prefer to show you a fully live version of a project versus it being kind of fake made up accounts or products. So you can see here we've got the projects, so we've got all projects and then we've got That Space Demo. So this was the one that we just saw on the home page. You scroll down, you can see the total visits, the unique users that are linked to that, and the average session time. We can then look at that over a certain period of time and get a good feel for when people are using the platform. Below that, effectively what we've done is these 3D modeled environments sit on a 14 by 14 grid, which actually gives us a heat map. So as users go through an environment, we can see exactly where they're going and what they're doing. Then we have media tags. So media tags, in essence, are icons that sit in real space in the 3D model, and in there then we can link through to websites, videos, PDFs, anything that you want effectively that will sit right in that environment. So this here then gives you an idea of what people are looking at within an environment, whether that's they're looking at the brochures, the walkthrough videos, or even looking into affiliate marketing links that you may have linked to a kitchen or a oven within the kitchen. Then we have profile. So depending on what membership system you have, you can see that I'm currently in a pro plan. You get a few extra features. So of course here you put in your company name, email and tax ID. That's all for billing. We can see any invoicing then at the bottom. You can see that here with the blue lettering, or we can manage our plan where we can look at the pricing appropriately. If you're paying for a pro plan, you actually get to white label the software. So you can see here I've uploaded a different icon, and simply that means when you publish an environment, instead of it showing that space in the top left, it will show your iconography. Then we have users and licensing. So we touched on that very closely or very shortly about that. And you can see here that I'm the owner, so I can't be removed from the projects or organization, but I can change other people's permissions, and I can also deactivate that user should I like to. And you can see there it's as easy then to invite a user, simply give them your email or add their email in, and then they will receive an email to join your organization. And don't worry, if they join multiple, they're able to switch between those organizations within the profile. If you ever get in any trouble and need any help, there's FAQs or contact us and we can directly support you through those problems. But we'll go back to projects. So first of all, I'll jump into one that's already published and show you that, and then I'll also show you creating a project, just so you get a good feel for what's happening there. So we simply just click on them, and you can see we get a little bit of a dashboard and analytics where we can publish or unpublish the project, and we can also copy the published link. So when a link is created, in essence, that is a final version that an individual can have, and what that does is you can also password protect that, or use something really clever, which we call the sticky note feature, which you'll see in just a moment. But in this example, I'm going to show you the editor so you can see exactly what we can do in there. So when I click edit, you get loaded into the editor mode. Now this works on both mobile and desktop. There is one feature that I suggest we use on desktop, but I'll show you that in just a moment. So you can see here we get a little bit of an explanation of what to do when you're in the space, and you can see that icon that was white labeled is up in the top left. So we click X and we're in. Now simply click on the screen and you're now able to move about. WASD, space to jump, and then the mouse. So you can see I've already uploaded a 3D model here that we can walk around appropriately. So simply walking through the glass, and basically the 3D model depends on what you upload and how detailed it is and how far you go with it. You could have fully furnished projects, or you could have an exterior build like this where we're actually able to see it from elevation and rotate around it. Now, the tools in here that are quite important to talk about are, first of all, we have the capacity to change the colors and materials. So this gives you the ability to actually sit on a call with an individual and try out different colors and Pantones throughout the environment. We can also then do a few other things. We can upload an additional 3D model that you see here. So that could be, for example, a bed, or it could be a car on a driveway, just to see a good sense of scale. And if your 3D model for any reason doesn't come in the right orientation or scale, we can edit all that appropriately here. Don't worry, if you do anything that you shouldn't have, there's a back button to get back to where you were. We also then have a day and night feature, so this gives you the capacity to see how a building will be affected as the lighting goes on throughout the day. So simply all you need to do is effectively make sure the property is facing north, and that will then give you a good indication of where the shadows might fall in that day. Now, the editor is going to have a few features that the viewer link will not have. So if I just jump back down to ground, you can see a few different features. So one is the sticky note feature. So the idea is that this can be used as an iterative process to reduce the amount of meetings needed and go back and forth and liaise with the client. So sticky notes effectively are, I believe, blue when you're the individual or the editor, white if you're the viewer. So if you see, I can click this little icon here, which is sticky notes, and I'm able to write what I would like. So in this example, I'll say windows should be tinted, and then you can see I simply click save note and it's placed that in the environment. So it's completely within the environment and has like a virtual coordinate, so to speak. So this gives you the capacity that you could walk around in your own time as a viewer, and you could actually say, well, actually that door I believe is in the wrong place, I actually want it here, and they could quite simply add a sticky note to then reflect those changes versus having to go back and forth via either renders, illustrations, or a variety of other manners. Most timely not being efficient would be meetings to make those small changes. The other thing we can do as an editor is we actually have our media tags. So you click this icon here, and we're actually able to link to an awful lot of things. As I said, we've got websites, videos, we could link through to images, PDFs, etc. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to link my website here to give you an idea. So I'm going to call that the That Space website. I want to make sure it's a link, and then I add thatvirtualspace.com. Making sure I have the web icon selected and auto rotate. So auto rotate just means that that icon will always face you no matter where you are in the environment. Click save and you'll see that icon is placed again in free space, and if we click on that, the website loads up within the environment. Meaning you can actually make it where it's a 3D environment you could walk through. Say it was a new build, you could then click through to actually go through with the order. Meaning people don't have to leave this link and they can do an awful lot more. Now, we've made quite a few changes there, so I'll show you the publish function. If I go up to the top right hand corner and click publish, we then see that it's just produced a link. We can copy that link and that's ready to go. However, what we'll do here is enable sticky notes and password protection. We'll call that password today that, because why not? And then we click save link settings. Now we'll copy the link, simply open a new tab, click paste, and we're away. You'll see now it's asked for that password, so we set it as that. and we are in. So you can see now the editor loses quite a lot of those features, so they can effectively walk around and comment, really. That's their primary focus. So you can see any sticky notes or media tags that we placed are already in the environment for them, but they also then have the capacity to do the day and night feature that we see here, and then the capacity to fly, doing it like so. So that gives you an idea about how the functions and features work. I'll show you just a little bit on how you upload these projects, because we've made it as simple as possible for users. So you go back here and we think, right, okay, we're done with this project, but we need to create a new one. Simply click the icon in the top left. If you're logged in, it logs you straight back into the back end. And then we can click Create Project. Now we can name that anything. I'm going to call it Project Downtown Louisiana, and click Done. Now we see a few different features. Primary focus at the moment is uploading 3D models that we already have, but we also don't want to miss out on those individuals that might want to play about. Now, I won't show you the floor plan to 3D in this video, but feel free to go and check it out if you'd like. Effectively, you upload your floor plan and you draw over it, and it will draw the walls out appropriately, creating like a white box 3D environment. So it won't be the same level of detail as your 3D model, but it will give you a sense of scale and allow someone to walk through it and get a good idea of how their space might feel. So we click Upload 3D Model. At the moment, it's taking GLB, GLTF, FBX, and OBJ. All these formats can be exported from Revit or, in fact, SketchUp. SketchUp will be added shortly, but their integrations currently are not enabled. They're actually doing work on their end, so we're unable to fully plug it in at this point in time. But don't be afraid, GLB and GLTF can be exported from both of these as easy as File, Save As, Export. If we click the plus then, we're able to upload a 3D model. We've got one here that I've used earlier called Apartment Building. We click Open. You can see it's been uploaded. We click Done, and we are in. It may take a few moments to load for the first time because it's being uploaded to the server so that it can be accessed from anywhere in the world. And you can see that same 3D model we looked at before has just been re-uploaded as a separate project. We go back here and we can see that's now being created. Of course, that's still a draft at this point in time as we haven't published it. But I hope that gives you a really good feel for the project and the platform itself. We're always looking to develop and make it better and better. So if there's any comments or thoughts, please let me know. The project or platform is available for you straight away. And as I said, you can go on there and have a play without paying. So yeah, please let me know if there's any questions at all, or if you'd like me to help induct you into using it. And yeah, thank you so much for your time. I hope that was really useful, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye.